All right, welcome back, hard forkers. We're here with Baloo from the Crypto Jungle. Good to see you again, mate.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, good to have you back. We're not actually live today, people, just because we're playing around with a new bit of software. Yeah, this was recorded literally an hour or two ago. So on that note, we're going to have a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, EOS, and a number of alts for you today. Try and make sense of what's going on, where we are in this market cycle. So, sir, I'll hand it over to you to kick us off here. What are we looking at first?
Yeah, I always like to start things off taking a look at Bitcoin. So let me go ahead and pull that up here. All right, so do we have it pulled up? There we go.
There we go.
I'll start out on a higher time frame. Let's go with the 12-hour. Now, the thing about Bitcoin right now is we're still neutral. I've been saying this. Anybody who's been following me on my channel, I've been very apprehensive towards any new positions, and any new positions that I'm taking right now are a little bit more aggressive than my normal MO as far as how I handle my trades. When you're buying down in the bear market, it's not financial advice and everybody trades differently. But for me, I have a lot of positions that don't have stop losses. That's not recommended for any leverage. That's not recommended for most new people that are unable to read a chart or know where we are in the market cycle. But that is what I'm doing. So I'm just letting you know that where we are right now, there's nothing that goes into this without some sort of stop loss or some sort of risk metric that goes into protecting yourselves, because of the fact that we made this lower low. So we've been saying this for a while. This low is lower than this low. It's not lower than this low here, but it's a potential trend change. And this area right here is kind of curling over. So it's, we could curl over and head to the downside. There's a lot of really bullish sentiment in the space. People are making money on the most ridiculous projects. I think that fundamentally speaking, there could be a revaluation. We often see this in cryptocurrency where people just buy all the wrong things, and then there's a dump, and then they need to reassess where the value actually is. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like that. Now, if I go down to the 4-hour, let's talk a little bit bullish. Let's talk a little bit more, happy talk. We're in this sort of, ascending price action. We have overtaken this area of this support/resistance flip. We've kind of tested it twice. And, as long as the price action is above this level that I have here at about $55,000, I'm happy. I'm happy that we're above that, and I can, in the short term, convict to upside potential. But it doesn't come with a lot of apprehension and caution for, appropriate risk management is really needed at this point in the game. All while altcoins are pumping and the space is super bullish. So it's very hard to sit on your hands, and it's kind of easy to throw caution into the wind.
You made an interesting point there, Baloo. You were talking about, you've got a number of positions without stop losses. And I think yet again, we have seen this scenario where if you're trading a heap of alts with tight stop losses, yesterday you would have woken up, your stop loss hit, and the prices moved back above where you got stopped out. Do you rebuy this thing, go through the same process, tight stop loss, get cleaned out again? That's why trading the alts, and especially lots of them at the same time, for me, is such a dangerous way to approach this market.
Yeah, I often make the joke that, your trades are like kids. If you have more than 5, you're in trouble.
I totally agree.
Yeah. It's hard to manage, when you're dealing with take profits on several different charts, when you're dealing with stop losses, just everything that goes into kind of having a successful trade. When you diversify into 20 plus coins, you're all over the map, and it's really hard to stay organized. It's hard enough to stay organized with 5 trades, let alone 20. So if you're new to the market and you're just buying everything, you're pretty much submitting to the market, and you're at the whim of the market. So, you know, that's kind of not the best position to be in, because your downside risk is pretty substantial. So I'm not saying don't do degenerate plays. I just did a degenerate play myself. There is an appetite for that, and you know, I can see these opportunities when they present themselves. But you know, have a healthy amount of high quality projects in your portfolio that don't just go down significantly, especially if you're going to be that diversified. Because if you are, you and I both know that if you're that diversified, you don't have stop losses, and you don't have stop losses pretty high up in the market cycle.
Yeah, correct. I mean, I have to also admit, you know, I'm not going to lie. I do some degen. Well, I don't really consider it degen trading. I trade Bitcoin and Ethereum, probably 10% of my overall stack on Bybit using leverage. You know, it's yes, that is for experienced traders. And if you are an experienced trader, please use our link. It's a way you can support the channel. Also link to Blue's trading group below, the Crypto Jungle. Check that out, people. It's very good. What I have noticed, you know, as I say, it's a small percentage of my portfolio that I do trade on leverage, and it is just Bitcoin and Ethereum on Bybit. We really seem to be operating in this range, something you've been talking about for quite a while now. And it, you know, I considered it fairly easy sort of moves, trading it up and down, lots of scalps, you know, on 1 minute candles, and I've done quite well doing that. What do you? I mean, it seems to me, you know, yesterday we had that big dump. The funding rate shot up from 0.01 up to 0.08, and then bang, we came down like a lead balloon. I think Ethereum touched 3560 at one point. So effectively a long squeeze. You know, that can be the pitfalls of leverage trading there, people. Things get overcooked.
Well, yeah, and I don't think that it's actually much of a squeeze. It's just unsustainable over leveraged behavior is typically what happens there. It's greed, you know, and as the new investor doesn't think about the large investor nearly enough. You know, if you're a whale, you can move the market. That's kind of the definition of what a whale is. You know, they can make waves, they can move the market. If they see the funding rate going really, really high, what that means is all of these retail traders are over leveraging in excess of 10x, you know, 10x, 25x. We all know there's degens out there throwing $100 on 125x. It's all over the map. A whale can move this market 0.5%. And when they do that, you know, you get that cascading trail effect. So they go into the spot markets after they've covered short. They covered short a long time ago, so because the funding is paying them. So they're getting their premium on their $1 million short contract, and then they go and they dump, you know, $200,000 into the spot markets, freaks everybody out. You get this cascading effect. They close out their short and they buy back in, and it's easier than you think. So you really have to you have to think about these large whales because they have so much power. They have so much power. You know, like people forget. And when you over leverage, you're just creating part of the problem.
Yeah.
You're so easy to liquidate. It's just like, you're just so easy to liquidate. Don't do it. You're giving the whales more Bitcoin.
Yeah, we'll move on to Ethereum in the moment, and people, we've got some other alts coming up. We're going to have a look at EOS, some action happening there. Now, I've also because we're not live today, I've picked a few coins that I'm believed to look at the charts. But what we do want is for you to give us your thoughts and let us know what charts you'd like to have a look at. So please comment below. Follow us both on Twitter. Links below for that as well. Let us know what you want to see on these shows, people. Righty-o, should we move into have a look at ETH?
Yeah, so
I've sort of come away from that Bitcoin chart below. You know, it's very much sort of, for me, it's waiting that one out at the moment. If you know, maybe some smaller scalp trades, on the smaller timeframes for me, but picking which way I think we will see a very large move for me at the moment is still goddamn tricky on this one.
When you are neutralized, you cannot pick a direction. So, and this is another thing that we may as well quickly touch on before I go over to Ethereum.
Sure.
You can't pick a direction. You know, TAA is not a crystal ball. It's a way for you to kind of position and strategize. It's a huge misconception that people think that, oh, this is happening, the MACD is crossing, this is doing that, and that's doing that. Exactly as I predicted. It's like, it doesn't work like that. So, you know, thinking that you can predict these markets is ludicrous. What you do is you trade with the trend. Right now, the trend is neutral. So your strategy needs to kind of really focus on both sides. I have a strategy for if we head to the downside. I have a strategy, well, my strategy is still more or less long. So my long strategy is just holding what I have, but I do have exit strategies as well if we start to break down on some of the things that would make me bearish.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about listening to the market and reacting to the market. Ethereum on a freaking tear. Very good to see. You know, I'm so fundamentally bullish on Ethereum, and it's really nice to see this kind of price action because Ethereum was poo-pooed for so long. Everybody thought it was, I mean, the fees are still high, like nothing's changed, but now Ethereum is a revolution.
Yeah.
It's amazing what a shift in price can do to the sentiment. So, you know, me and my group, we were taking positions down in this area when we first got across above this this line of resistance down at $2,000, and they're quite happy. Basically, a 100% move on that that call out. So shout out to the people in VIP and the crypto jungles for taking that trade because that was a beauty. But yeah, we're getting overextended. So when you have this momentum behind you, you really kind of you shouldn't be calling the tops. You shouldn't be trying to make entries. You should be looking for opportunities to scale out. And one thing that I kind of like to employ, shout out to Matthew McGregor, a new trader in our group that made this custom indicator that kind of just tells you when things are getting overheated. So we got a trim signal here, we got a trim signal here. So we're trimming along into the strength, loading up that cash position to wait for that retracement back down. Now, where that retracement can go, we don't know, but these moving averages can kind of help you take positions in an asset that's trending. You know, with Wyckoff, we're looking for the trading range, and when your trading range is gone and you're in markup, it's a lot harder to become a participant. So looking for the big pullbacks, looking for any pullback down to one of these moving averages, whether it's the 7, the 21, is this 20? No, the 20 or the 30, or no, that's the 30 or the 50. Will kind of help you know when we're back into a valuable zone as far as the trend is concerned. But as far as price structure to help us find where we may land in a short-term downtrend, it's ugly down at around $2,500. So please be careful. This is crypto. It can be very volatile. I would like to see us kind of react to a level much lower at around $3,500. I'm not saying it'll go there. I'm just saying I would like to see some sort of reaction where we can consolidate and build support. It's very important to look for support to be built. You have to trade sideways to build that support. When you trade sideways, it's revealing the resistance that we can't see when we're in a blue sky breakout. So having a consolidation will show you, okay, here's the resistance. When we break above that resistance, it then becomes support, and we have some sort of measure on where we can expect retracements. So as far as trades on Ethereum right now, you got to be on small time frames, and they're small objective trades. You know, get down to the 1 hour, hell, even the 15-minute, and you're not holding these things long. This is short term trading that is more advanced, and it's personally something that I don't typically do, but it's hard to sit on your hands. So you do need to find the structure of support on the smaller time frames. I'll show you an example. You know, if you go down to the 15-minute, you can see the structure a little bit better.
It's almost on those small time frames, Baloo. Obviously I've been scalp trading it on Bybit over the last couple of weeks, and my God, it's just moved absolutely in sync with Bitcoin effectively, which, trading in that range. So my Ethereum trading's actually been a lot more successful than my Bitcoin trading, to be honest. Because obviously, as you say, there is that trend, but it's tended to mirror some Bitcoin moves, but ultimately, it's in that uptrend as well. So I've actually been quite successful scalping Ethereum.
Well done. I've got enough of a spot position in Ethereum to just watch it grow.
Oh, you're one of the lucky ones. You're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
I'm still playing, but I suppose that's another sort of emotional thing, isn't it? If you've come, I was early to Bitcoin, but late to Ethereum. So I feel I'm sort of playing a little bit of catch up, trying to increase my stack. And
Yeah.
it's a dangerous game. You got to know what you're doing, but so far so good for me.
Yeah. Yeah, low leverage is best for that. One thing that I do kind of like about Bybit is, I didn't really like Bybit for a while. It was kind of not at the liquidity that we needed. And it's kind of it's definitely gotten better. There's a whole lot of, there's a lot more traffic. There's a lot more volume on Bybit. And it's just, we're in the right kind of environment where you don't feel like you're getting these scam wicks and stuff.
True.
Binance is getting really crazy for me, and they're doing a lot of, locking people out of their accounts. I mean, yes, it's all been short term, but I don't like it when the exchanges start to shut down withdrawals and stuff like that. So I use FTX and I use Bybit. I use FTX for all of my margin spot USD settled positions, and then Bybit for coin settled positions, which is something for, to take into consideration if you are trying to stack Satoshis, or if you're trying to gain more Ethereum, you want the settlement to be in the underlying asset. So that's kind of a benefit to that.
So Ethereum,
when you go into these small time frames, you can see these SR flips, these support / resistance flips, and that's what you're looking for. But if you're inexperienced, it's hard to make heads or tails as to what's going on. So you're kind of better off staying off of these time frames.
Yeah, just quickly on that note, I run a crypto meetup down in New Zealand while I'm here, and a couple of the guys and this isn't financial advice, people, it's just us having a chat. But talking to some of the newbies coming in, I've obviously been a Bitcoin maximalist for a long time, and I'm gonna have to put my hand up here. Last night when somebody entering the market at this point, which I consider the second half of the cycle, most likely. I was like, well, God, he put me on the spot. He's like, should I buy Bitcoin or Ethereum? I'll show you a couple of charts in a moment, but my Bitcoin fans will hate me for this, but I did say, look, I'd actually consider Ethereum possibly being the better return during this cycle. And I'll show you some charts to that effect in a moment. But yeah, what do you got for us here, Baloo?
Yeah, I think, we're definitely entering the stage where Ethereum is getting to the point where it's going to start to perform better. And it's because of how it's presenting itself on the Bitcoin pair. So I've done this chart a few times on your channel here. And it's what the whales are looking at. It's what the Bitcoin maximalists are looking at as well. They're charting this to see if they can get more Bitcoin. So when the Bitcoin chart starts to perform better, there's going to be more participation. You get liquidity leaving Bitcoin so it can take the trade, and then you get Ethereum moving up in price. So yes, at this stage, I think if you are looking to participate, statistically speaking, historically speaking, the gains are going to be better in Ethereum, but you don't buy stuff that looks like this, people.
Yeah.
Okay. You have to wait for a good entry. You have to wait for a pullback. When everybody is crying, when everybody is scared, when there's blood in the streets, are the best time to buy. It's going to be the most uncomfortable thing that you've probably ever done. But if you look back at any chart, it is the time to buy. And that is a skill. And for those who have never bought blood, bought the blood in the streets, just do a tiny bit. That's my little exercise for you. When everybody is panicking, just put 20 bucks in. And that way you can just see the P&L. You can see what happens with the P&L. Set it up like a normal trade and just watch what happens, because it's muscle memory. You need to learn how to buy that fear. It's not natural. Most of trading isn't natural.
No, that's very true. Very, very true. Yeah, it's a really tricky one, isn't it, at the moment? I mean, I was looking at something today. I'm seeing $9,000 strike price derivatives being bought for Ethereum with a June 25th expiry. So, it's quite an interesting one to think, okay, we've got EIP 1559 coming up in July. That's, the hard fork taking place there. I've ummed and ahed about whether I thought that would be a big bullish run up to that event, because I also, having been through the hard forks on Bitcoin in 2017, FUD flies around and it flies around thick and fast. So I do think we'll see a bit of that as well. But yeah, I'm not going to be surprised to see a big run up in Ethereum before then. Thoughts on that one from a fundamental point of view, and what it's tough to know what the chart's telling us because we're at all-time highs.
Yeah, I like this chart, the Bitcoin chart, because it's showing you a multi-year accumulation, and I'm a Wyckofian. I use the Wyckoff method, and how the Wyckoff method works is the players that are the high net worth individuals, the whales, they accumulate for months and months and months or years. They accumulate an asset. So they've been scaling into Ethereum in preparation for, fill in the blank. It doesn't matter. Well, the important thing is the lockup of the supply. There's 120 million Ethereum out there, but realistically, the available supply on Ethereum is much less because the whales are holding so much. Correct. So then the narrative starts to push. Then the bullish this, the bullish that starts to push, and everybody's fighting over the smallest little supply of the asset. The narratives are going to be interesting. We're going to see a lot. We're going to see a lot of, talk of the Ethereum revolution and all of this and that. And there's going to be mining FUD, and there's going to be a lot to kind of go through. But this is one of the most fundamentally bullish things that could happen to Ethereum for a myriad of reasons. And I'm very bullish on that. And I think a lot of people are going to front run that idea. I actually talked about this the other day on my channel. Just when everybody expects a certain outcome, the outcome price gets priced in. So Elon Musk, everybody was front running the massive pump that would come to Doge when Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live. The problem is everybody expected it to pump. So that price, that expectation value got priced in. And then when nothing happened, we started to retrace. So I anticipate some sort of similar event, regardless of how bullish the upgrade is. And, it's fundamentally very, very bullish for Ethereum. I do think that there will probably be some sort of slowdown as people, expect an outcome that doesn't arrive in terms of value, price value.
It's an interesting one, as I say, because there's two sides to that coin. There really is, because I think we've been in the space for quite a while. We understand it. We know what EIP 1559 is to begin with. Most people won't. What they are going to see is all sorts of headlines and FUD, around potential chain splits, contentious hard forks. I think we're a few weeks away from that sort of kicking into overdrive, but it's going to happen. So yes, fundamentally, I know obviously institutions are very much being encouraged and legislated to invest in green projects these days. So the fact that Ethereum is moving from what many consider to be a pollutant with its proof of work mining to proof of stake, reducing its emissions by, I don't know, well over 99%, I think, when that happens. So, there could be a lot of institutional inflow into the project purely based on that also. It's going to be an interesting one. My gut feeling tells me we're going to see a pretty good run up before the hard fork. Let's see. I'm certainly very bullish on Ethereum.
We're up quite a bit.
Yeah,
we're already seeing it. We'll probably get a dip in the meantime, but we're 56% from the breakout of this. The last signal that we got, and that's on the Bitcoin pair. Yeah, it's in a strong trend. A lot of people are waking up to this. They don't care about the fees anymore. The fees are just a temporary issue. The whole fees argument is ridiculous, saying like, wow, it costs this much to do a transaction. I can do it on Binance Smart Chain. It's like, well, you don't get it, because we're in dial-up days. This is not how it will be. This is not the end result. You're early, and the early participation is going to come with a lot of growing pains, and the fees are just, growing pains.
I also think a lot of Ethereum's growth and the value that will be built into that network, when we look at Visa settling transactions on it a few weeks ago, really for me, it's the real value is going to come from those much bigger institutional plays, using that Ethereum network for settling, large transactions. That will build a huge amount of value. And so, yes, for the trader who wants to buy $500 worth of dog coin on Uniswap, and it costs them $100 to do that, and bitching and moaning about that, I don't think that's, yes, that is a part of the value of that network, but not the biggest part for me. I don't think that, as I say, I think it's those bigger plays that are really going to skyrocket Ethereum. So yes, let's. What do we got coming up? We're gonna have a look at EOS. Was there anything else on Ethereum you wanted to have a look at?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. Ethereum's going up. Entries are hard. Wait for pullback. I've got a
super duper basic chart here on Ethereum. Where are we? Yeah, I mean, there it is in a chart for beginners, people. How BTC and ETH returns during the bull and bear cycles. As you can see, Ethereum has pretty much outperformed Bitcoin, except for 1 year in 2018 to 2019. Also interesting, Blue. Just while we're looking at this, we're trying to figure out where we are in this bull cycle. So it is quite interesting to see that we're roughly half the gains that we saw in the 2017 bull cycle.
Yeah.
Any comment on that? Could we extrapolate anything from that?
I mean,
basic chart.
For the cycle, I mean, there's theoretically more room to the upside. I just want to see Bitcoin kind of continue the trend. Ethereum is becoming a very important part of the ecosystem, but Bitcoin is the canary in the coal mine. Bitcoin is the measure of health. If Bitcoin is going down, the cryptocurrency market is going down. We haven't decoupled from that yet. We may decouple from that, this cycle or in the bear cycle at some point. But the reality is we don't have any data to support that decoupling just yet.
Yeah.
So it's very much in Bitcoin's hands right now. We need to go bull. We need to be bullish on Bitcoin before we can continue to higher levels and expect similar results to previous cycles.
Yeah, very true. I mean, just a quick reminder to people on that again. Bitcoin and Ethereum are entirely different digital assets to each other. One really is that digital gold, that store of value. It's that narrative doesn't have a competitor. Ethereum, you could argue it has a case as a store of value also. I mean, I certainly buy it as an asset that I think is appreciating, but really the institutional money coming into it now understands at that protocol level what is happening on it, how much value has been created on that chain. So very different assets. Also really interesting to note that it's now nudging 50% of the market cap of BTC. It's seen some very big moves upwards on that front. Will it flip the market cap of Bitcoin at any point in its future, in your opinion, Blue?
It's somebody said this in the Discord. I was in a Discord chat, and somebody pinged me and asked, do I think Ethereum is going to flip Bitcoin? And just right off the bat, I was like, oh, no, absolutely not. Like, I laughed it off. And then I went and looked at the market cap, and I'm like, wow, okay, it's actually not that unachievable. We'll see what happens. Bitcoin definitely will have a lot of hype around it if it continues into higher price appreciation. But, we might get some neck and neck or something close. Probably not. I don't know. It's really hard to say. But it's definitely catching up. And I think if you do the comparison of gold to what Ethereum is trying to do, and I'm a trader, I'm a finance guy, I'm going to kind of lean on equities and dexes. If Ethereum starts to tokenize stocks and get into the derivatives market, the derivatives market alone is like 10 times the size of the gold market. I think I'm being way too conservative with that assessment. You know, if Ethereum becomes a settlement layer for the stock market or just, you know, NFTs and everything, there's a lot more theoretical value upside. Of course, this requires, you know, adoption from the world. But if you are just kind of keeping it very simplistic, Bitcoin is a store of value like gold, and Ethereum can kind of be a settlement layer for the world. There's theoretically a point at which there could be a flip.
Yeah, very true. I mean, you know, I'm doing some work in the traditional finance world at the moment, and how they're using blockchain. It's, you know, and it's really these permissioned or private blockchains, if you will. You know, the likes of R3 Quarter are really sort of leading the charge there. Hyperledger Fabric as well. But you know, what I do see happening is the as you say, the use of Ethereum to actually settle trades, to tokenize stocks, bonds, etc. That will come. I think we're a way off. But the fact that they are running pilot projects now, they are using blockchain, albeit not public blockchains, primarily in the banking world. But yeah, we know it's coming. So will the market cap of Ethereum flip Bitcoin for me in the future? I would say absolutely. It just does so much more. Whereas Bitcoin has that one narrative, it does it better than anything else, and it will continue to do that. But you know, you're talking Ethereum that can do a multitude of things. So yes, I don't think it'll happen in the cycle, but absolutely in the future for me. Right, shall we move on to one that I find mildly amusing? Mildly amusing.
Yes. So, you know, let's just kind of speak to the Wyckoff method for those who may have not caught me on a previous show. What the Wyckoff method focuses on is these accumulation ranges, and what is happening inside of the accumulation range is the large institutional players are accumulating the asset over a very long period of time. Effectively locking up the supply. You can liken it to a token burn. So it's like, hey, we just burned, you know, 30% of the token supply or 40% of the token supply, or sometimes even larger amounts. And they're diamond hands. You know, we get the whole memes like diamond hands versus paper hands. You know, the whales are the diamond hands. They're the ones that are not selling. They lock the liquidity, and they allow the retail traders to fight over the scraps that are left over. And then fighting over those scraps is the markup event. So what we have here on EOS, I'll just get the chart going here, is we have this multi-year accumulation. You want to just pop the chart on there for me, Sean?
Okay.
There we go. So we've had this multi-year accumulation in EOS. I'm not going to get into all the different Wyckoff signals on this one. The most important thing here that we're noticing is what's referred to, oops, let's get that a little tidier, the SOS, okay? And what the SOS is it's the sign of strength. It's the first time in the entire accumulation that we've undeniably broke through the highs. So we have left the trading range. What happens next, as everybody's loading up on EOS expecting the moon, is usually a backup phase, oftentimes back down to the breakout at around $8. So a lot of people buying here. We can see a ton of supply as retail really starts to get bullish on EOS. You know, the narratives are starting to push out. We're getting a lot of announcements coming out of the project, and a lot of stuff that is, you know, getting people really excited. You know, the market itself is always just looking for opportunities right now. Now, we're in a very bullish market, and I'm not saying that this will happen for many months, because where we are in the cycle is we're definitely heating up on the time parameters for these consolidations. But I would not be shocked in the slightest for us to get it back on top of this range at around, you know, at $8 to $10 before getting our commitment. And this could go on for weeks. So, you know, we're seeing a lot of projects that are just mooning right now, and people are expecting the same thing from EOS as it's done this huge move. I personally think that there's time. And that's not based on much other than just my experience with this method and watching how long the consolidations typically take after the sign of strength. But, you know, market sentiment can really take over, and there is strong forces of demand out there. So it's going to be hard to say, and we're going to have to see what happens. But this is a pretty large supply signature showing that a lot of supply is potentially sold in this area. If you go from the bottom of the trading range here, you know, people were making money on this one, and they're sitting at a 5x. Basically, they got at 5x. When people 5x their money, they take profits. At least, you know, the responsible ones that knew what they were doing and bought at the bottom anyways.
I'll just at the bottom. Yeah, indeed.
They know what they're doing.
By the bottom. So I'll just share this quickly with you and the audience below. We have this sort of hitting the press today, which obviously is having a bit of impact on the charts here, on the price. I mean, a lot of hype around this 10 billion launch triggers 50% jump in EOS. Now, I know a few of the people involved in this project. I've met the main man, Brock Pierce, a few times. I don't think he's associated with it now. He was running for US president instead. But obviously, Block One, the company behind this, and they have created a new subsidiary, people. Now, who the hell wouldn't want to invest in a company called Bullish Global? Bullish Global. Oh, wow.
It seems appropriate for the sentiment in the space currently.
Take some of your $10 billion people and hire a decent marketing please. So if you don't know who Block One are, let me just share this with you quickly as well. One moment. Still just trying to figure out these screen shares properly, I'm afraid, people. I will get there. Right. So Block One, the company behind all of this, where are we? So Block One, this is basically a list of all the major companies that are holding Bitcoin. So at the top here, we're all very familiar now with MicroStrategy and Tesla, 91,000 Bitcoin and 43 respectively. So factor in those numbers there, 91 and 43. But if we have a look at Block One, here they are. These are the guys behind all of this. They've got 140,000 Bitcoin. So after Mt. Gox and the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, I believe they may well be the biggest holder of their assets. So these are big, big, big players here, people. What I would have to say about this is, what the hell has EOS done?
Yeah.
Nothing. Dan Larimer starts projects, moves on to something new. Apparently he's sort of back in the mix there now, but I'm not touching it.
Yeah. It clearly doesn't matter in the current market sentiment. You know, it's so easy to forget what things were like in the previous bull run. And, you know, there's a lot showing us similarities to the sentiments. You know, it was all about the announcements. You know, is this announcement, that announcement, this announcement? Like, nobody checked, nobody verified, nobody. It was just promises. So many promises, like promise after promise. And
oh man, I was trading lumens on the regular in 217 below, and there would literally be stuff popping up in a Reddit feed about so and so meeting somebody for lunch in Korea on a Tuesday, and that would be the price back then. It was that crazy. We're seeing, you know, what we're seeing now is it comes back to your composite, man. You know, we can clearly see these major alts having these 100% pumps now, and it's almost like, okay, that's done that. Let's move on to the next one and on to the next one. It's almost comical. Now, how do you pick which one of those it's going to be? I suppose there's an argument, the one that's been going sideways for quite a while. I'm hearing that from some analysts. That's the level of the way they're playing it. But yeah, tough.
Yeah. It usually is true. Finding those sideways trading environments and analyzing the volume and the price movements within a trading range can give you a lot of hints.
Yeah.
Nothing's a guarantee, but yeah, you don't buy stuff that's going up. And that's just hard for people to kind of recognize because they want the pump now. And when you're buying in a sideways trading environment, it's not coming right now. Everything around you is pumping now.
Yeah.
Get
So you
rich
won't be
quick is
buying the
usually a
Shiba.
pretty.
You're not buying the Shiba coin. I watched your content the other day.
you know, I shorted it. I didn't get wrecked, but I did get stopped out of the position.
Wow.
Demand is very strong. Demand is very strong. I thought that we'll actually talk a little bit more about Shiba later in the show. I've got my own theories on what's going on with Shiba, but yeah, I shorted it and I got stopped out. But yeah, no, I'm not buying it.
Yes, careful of the Shiba people. Okay, so I mean, as far as the EOS chart, I mean, here's me sort of bagging on the project, but yeah, I mean, is there a trade there? Do you think, or as you say, don't go chasing that big green dildo at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, as far as a trade, there is volatility for sure. And if you're an experienced trader, you can probably do something with that information. But for me, I want to see it trade sideways for a bit. And
Right.
typically, more than 9 times out of 10, when you get that sign of strength, you get a period of consolidation. Allow the consolidation to show you where the resistance is. So, if you just put my chart back on here, I'll show you exactly what I mean. Like, if this is the resistance, let's just say we have this kind of tentative range and we start trading below it. We trade above this area right here. I'll just do something that has structure that I typically see. Let's say we retrace back down here, we get a test, we come here and we start testing under here. This becomes the area of resistance and we can clearly see it. We know where it is and we can identify that. That allows you to plan, because when it's up here, you're not planning, you're just FOMOing in. So when we can see that resistance range and that resistance breaks, we retest and we head to higher level. You have to identify these areas of a break of resistance and a test. And that's kind of, those are your last time.
Oh, it's frozen on us. Oh dear, you're gonna have to. I'll have to take over the charting, people. Hopefully, Balu can reconnect. He's completely frozen. We'll give him a moment. So, oh, he's lost his power. I've just been told. So I will continue on here. Bit of freestyle action for you. Yeah, one thing, another chart to have a look at. Total hash rate. Now, what I wanted to show you here is obviously we had that big dump in hash rate, which coincided with that fall back on April 18th, 19th. We've shot back up to an all-time high for Bitcoin hash rate. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is that as opposed to pretty much any other coin, price actually follows hash rate in Bitcoin. It is unique in that respect. So what does that tell me? Bullish signal, all-time high hash rate. Will the price follow? Quite possibly. Okay, what else have I got for you? Let me just check. No, he's lost his power, so it might just be me finishing off the show with you today, people. So, other things of note. We have. No, I think I've done all my screen shares. Okay. Right. We might have to wrap it up today, people. I think we've lost Blue. I will catch you all back here tomorrow. We've got our trading show with Leanne and Jesse, then our live show on Friday. Now, I know we cover primarily gaming content on that show typically, but this week we are going to be doing a giveaway of project tokens, so get along for that. And the whole idea here is we're trying to help people, especially newbies, to the space. So, it's a Q&A session on that live Friday show as well. Now, this trading show will be live with Blue next week. I know it was recorded today. We were just figuring out the software, etc. So, yeah, look, I hope you enjoyed today, and let us know what projects you would like us to cover for you moving forward here on the weekly. So we'll see you all tomorrow. Cheers now. Bye-bye.